The reason behind I have chose this topic is though some work have been done on the copper technology of the Harappans, but various facets are yet to be addressed. Now, we get copper objects right from the early Harappan level from some sites, but we find more in number in comparison with the early Harappan from the mature period. Now, history of archaeometallurgy. Archaeometallurgy was institutionalized in 1960s and 70s by British Museum, University College London, Institute of Archaeology, Institute for Archaeometallurgical Science Studies in Britain, Germany, and MIT and Harvard in US. Now, it has been already established that the Harappans used the process of Sire Pardue casting, or which is also known as lost wax technique. It is a technique of producing an object in metal by first producing a wax model of the object and subsequently melting out of the wax to create a mold cavity which is filled with molten metal. Wax between the core and the mold is lost when the mold is heated, and then molten metal takes its place and hardens between the core and the inner surface of the mold, which holds a negative impression of the wax model in detail. Now, I am referring to excavation reports and published books apart from my fieldwork. Now, sites chosen are Rakhigari, Fermanagh, and Kunal. These three sites are situated in Haryana and falls in close proximity to each other. Now, Rakhigari is 350 hectares, which makes it comparable to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and Fermanagh is 18 hectares, and Kunal is a small village in Hisar district of Haryana. Now, the reason behind selection of these sites, the difference in the size of settlement will give an idea of site functionality, as well as it will also give an idea of regional variations. Now, the image shows the distance among the three sites. Now, it is known that Khetri is one of the copper sources for the Harappans. Now, I am saying that it is one of the because scientific analysis from these three sites, only from these three sites, Fermanagh have been completed, other two sites have not been completed. And this is the possible distance between the sites. Coming to previous work, excavation have been completed in two sites, Fermanagh and Kunal, while Rakhigari is still under excavation by Deccan College. Coming to research problem, the proposed research paper aims to understand the copper technology of the Harappans in lieu of functional relation to sites through typological, scientific, and ethno-archaeological studies. Now, aims and objectives. Metal processing need to be documented in cities as well as in rural areas so that the connector story can be established. Type of functional and archaeometallurgical study will be carried out. Socio-economic setting will also be investigated. Investigating melting or smelting were practiced at the site. This will also address the question of climatic variations, different regional ecosystems, and social processes that are involved with it. Melting or smelting is connected with huge set of labor. Now, this is associated with control of resources and market, which plays a key role. The interpretation of analytical data of copper production activity representing rural and urban settlement, which gives a glimpse of artifact variability and site functionality. To identify the location of workshops and the pattern of these workshops. Now, understanding whether metal products were manufactured completely in one workshop or casting and finishing in another. Site catchment analysis will be undertaken to understand the minerals exploited by the Harappans and the comparison of data from these three sites with that of the published data of other sites. Now, the study will be carried out through understanding typological and functional aspect of the artifacts. Examining each artifact will give an idea of its typological value as well as its function. Archaeometallurgical analysis to understand the elemental composition, methods of manufacture through optical microscopy, SEM and EDS. To investigate the uses of different artifact types obtained in the excavation, purpose of artifacts defines its function and specific composition. The artifacts will be illustrated through photographs, and ethno-archaeological survey will be undertaken to understand the technique of production, socio-economic norms, etc. Now, also investigating the type of tools used and workshops found. The type of tool can be understood only through ethnoarchaeological analogy. Comparative analysis will be undertaken and a linkage between urban and rural sites and distant resources in order to understand the sources of the raw material. Now, the work completed so far are the typological and analysis of Rakhigari and Fermanagh objects. Scientific analysis of Fermanagh objects have been completed, while scientific analysis of Rakhigari objects are still in progress. Now, while analyzing the typology, I found some similarities like arrowheads, bangles, rods. These are common in both the sites, but some objects like spearhead, a horseshoe-shaped object were found in Fermanagh but have not been found yet in Rakhigari. Now, let's have a look on the tool typologies. The parameters taken for classification are morphology, size, shape, and probable function. In general, the artifacts were classified into broad functional groups such as hunting tools, agricultural tools, tools of warfare, household objects, etc. to understand the possible variety of activities undertaken by the Harappans. This is an example how I have categorized the tools. Now, these are the objects from Rakhigari. Some of the photos, like from the left top, the arrowhead, then from top right, fish hooks, left down bangle, and the left right top bottom is the rings. Now, archaeometallurgical analysis of Fermanagh artifacts. Arsenic served as a single alloying element in approximately 60% of the objects, while 30% of them were made of unalloyed copper. Remaining 10% of the objects were made by brass alloys, and lead was included in all brass objects, while no lead was detected in any arsenical copper and the unalloyed copper objects. Now, according to Professor Park, the variability in arsenic contents makes it difficult to distinguish between objects resulting from intended and unintended arsenic alloying. Again, according to Professor Park, the metal workers at Fermanagh were aware of material properties as determined by alloy composition and various thermomechanical treatments. This is reflected in the fact that the high arsenic or tin alloys were used for most plate-type objects that were fabricated by forging, while objects of lead contents were made exclusively by casting. Now, this is a table showing the objects and the elemental composition and the type of work that have been done on that particular objects. These are some of the photographs from the left arrowhead, from the right top bangle, down left spearhead, and the down right adze. Now, from the top left, these are the bangle with which have micro steatite bead inlay in it, and from the right top it's a horseshoe shaped object, and from the bottom is of rods. Now, coming to similarities between in the tool typology, mostly the objects were found utilitarian, rods were found more in number. Most of the objects were made by hammering and annealing method, and 2 objects were found made by casting process. Now, future work: typological analysis of Kunal objects, scientific analysis of Kunal object, and comparison of data and ethnoarchaeological survey. Now, from the work done, that some of the similarities have been seen, and most of the Fermanagh objects contain arsenic, and forging was the major fabrication method. Now, this is from the work done so far, that is, which gives an overview of the copper technology. And tool typology include basic parameters such as length, breadth, thickness, and weight of the objects. Tool typology comprise the detailed description of tools to identify the purpose of making such tools, classification of tools according to their uses such as hunting, household, religious, etc. Classification of tools such as casting and hammering techniques have been investigated. Extensive fieldwork is being carried out to understand the copper technology of the sites, and also participating in the excavation of Rakhigari to understand the archaeological deposit which can be correlated to tool typology and evidence of copper technology. Now, I am thankful to Deccan College and also INTACH for funding me. I am thankful to Professor Park, who is assisting me, who is helping me for metallurgical analysis. And thank you.